morning, everybody. Well, it's morning here. I'm actually in Maui, so it's 8 o'clock in the morning. I say good morning, but
Good
you guys
morning.
might be might be 2 o'clock where you are. I don't know. Or even later. So welcome to our call. These calls usually last about 30 minutes, and I'm going to start by talking about a collective that we just did, an educational seminar that we just did, and then we have a couple other things to talk about. Hannah's going to share some things about social media, and then we'll open it up for some questions. If you guys have any questions on today's call. So we just had a wonderful experience, and Linda Roberts was there. She's on the call, and in Santa Fe, where we had, I don't know, it was 14 or 15 artists in an educational seminar. We only do it once a year. I wish we could do it more. The facilities that we use in Miami and New York really don't allow for it. We just don't have the space. But Santa Fe is perfect. We have this wonderful meeting room. We set up the table in kind of a U format so everybody can see the screen, and Laura, our creative director, puts together an agenda, and we talk about all kinds of things on how artists can help themselves to succeed, to sell more art. Everything from social media to doing shows to just getting out there and working it every day. You know, it started on Thursday, and we do like a 3.5 hour seminar, and then we actually go to the show floor and help everybody hang their work, which really, all their booths look fantastic. And then from there, we had a museum. Linda, I think you took them to a museum, and then we all gathered at a hotel later and had a drink together. So it was super fun the first day. And then each day we give them an assignment. And so Friday, the show opened, and their assignment that day was to meet 10 people if they could, and get them to register in their guest book. And the next day it progressed a little more, and the next day it progressed a little more. The funniest part that I thought, or one of the most wonderful things that I witnessed at the collective, as we call it, the educational seminar, was when everybody arrives, they're all a little bit nervous, and they're sitting there not really knowing what to expect, but knowing that they're going to learn something. And as soon as people start talking with their neighbor, or you know, kind of chiming in and adding tidbits to the discussion, they all loosened up. And within an hour, it was like, you know, old home week, and they were all friends. And the next thing you know, there's a group text going on, and people are saying, oh, I sold a piece, and congratulations, and this is going on. And it was really cool to watch and witness through the course of Art Santa Fe. And, you know, it's not expensive. I'm not here to sell you the collective in Art Santa Fe, but what I am here to tell you is that the networking that you get from, you know, going to a show, or even a street fair if you're doing a local fair at home, or anything that you can do with other artists, is very rewarding. And it just makes you feel like, oh my God, I'm not alone in this journey that I'm taking while I'm painting at home or in my studio and then trying to sell work. You guys are all in the same boat, right? And it was kind of cathartic, I think, for everyone. Don't you think, Linda?
I do. And I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us on this call from the collective. So, you know, we're still all hanging together. And I think that's important. Because I think that what we witnessed together in the collective sessions, as well as out on the fair floor, is the interaction. And I also think there was a level of confidence that the collective members exhibited out on the fair floor. And I even listened to them. I just remember Vivian, you sharing with another artist across the way who wasn't a member of the collective, some of the tips that you'd learned, and teaching them. And I just, it's a little bit like I always talk about throwing the pebble in the pool of water and just watching the ripples go out. And I think that I think that, joining together, even like this, with the artist club and connecting, um, in the artist club, it's community. And I think community is really important. And I think there's a lot of things that are going on in our world today that that diffuse community. But I think that it's really important. And I think that um, that it's important in each of our individual journeys, and it's important in the collective journey, as all of us are in the art industry. So yeah, so and I thought that this was the second year that we did the collective, and I thought last year's collective was terrific. But I have to tell you, I thought that all of you this year were were more were less introspective and a little more extroverted. And I think that fostering that little piece of yourself um, can really add a great deal to the success of your journey in your art careers.
Yeah. Um, it was a fantastic 4-day experience, and those people that did what we preached actually did fairly well at the show, whether it was meeting new people, adding new collectors, or selling work, and all three of those things happened. I even got a text, geez, it was just a couple weeks ago, from somebody who had just sold another piece for $5,000, which was a follow-up from, Art Santa Fe. So, those things are all important. Collecting names and keeping your newsletter going. And by the way, you should all be emailing or, Instagramming to all of the people that you collected at the show on a monthly basis. And if you need help with that, Hannah can help you with that, putting things together. And, and if you need help with coaching, we're here to do that too. You have our emails. It's Linda@redwoodartgroup.com, or Eric, ERIC, @redwoodartgroup.com, or Kelly. Just shoot us an email and we can help with that. Hannah, what did you go over? Remind them a little bit what you went over on your social media. Oh, actually, are we going to send that to them?
We are, yeah. On the last day of the collective, Hannah did this great social media presentation, and we'll send that out to the whole membership of the Artist Club. It'll be a good reminder for those of you who were in the collective, as well as those of you who just need a few pointers and tips in regard to social media. I thought it was really well done. So we'll get that out to you as a follow-up when we send this video out as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and that touched over for anyone curious, just an overview, the key elements to social media marketing. So we talked about content, brand awareness, and engagement. So definitely make sure to take a look at that. And if anyone's interested in the presentation, I can send it to you and you can keep it, or we can, hop on the phone and talk about it more if you have any more questions.
So one of the things that we talked about the last time we were all together, which would have been the June call, because we didn't have a call in July, was what are you doing to drive your business this summer? And the videos that we sent, instead of the July meeting that Pedgman, did with me, as well as Alyssa, Van Atta, had some really good ideas, for how they, engage. And so I guess I'm wondering, what have you done? Maybe even what have you done after Art Santa Fe, because there's several of you here that were at Art Santa Fe, but what have you done to drive business this summer? Anybody? Nobody's driving any business? Okay, Vivian, you're on mute.
That's funny, Linda.
No, to me it was dead. So nothing moved during the summer. No matter how much advertisement I did and direct email, posts, and everything that I learned from all these years of marketing, and it was dead. So my next hope is the Art San Diego in November.
There we go.
Yeah, and you know, it's so hard to sell work through a computer or over the phone. When I started in the 80s, you know, working at galleries and then managing, you know, 20 galleries, we didn't even, the computer system we had, all it did was told our corporate headquarters what we had sold. It didn't do anything else. But, you know, we picked up the phone. We had cards in little boxes that you had your collectors on, and we would call people. And the only reason we would call them, is to ask them to come to the gallery. We did not try to sell them any work over the phone. That was almost impossible. Rarely did it ever happen. Once you get somebody to a gallery, and we had galleries in, you know, Newport Beach and Palm Springs and San Francisco and Lahaina here in Maui, where Kelly and I are right now. We usually spend the summer here, a month in the summer here. And I had a gallery here in Lahaina. It burned down during the fire last year. But, you know, you just called them to get them into the gallery. So keep that in mind as you're calling or talking or emailing people at home. What you really want to do is just get them to come see you, whether it's in Art San Diego or Miami or New York or Santa Fe or wherever we are, or wherever, you know, a street fair is that you're doing or anything like that. You just want to get them to come see you. That's all. It's the same thing I tell my staff all the time when we're sending out emails. We're not trying to sell booth space to anybody. All we're trying to do right now is to get them to pick up the phone and call us or say, I'm interested, or sign up for a newsletter and things like that, and start educating them. And you've got to do the same thing to your clients. You've got to educate them. And the way to do that is by communication. Also, to let you know, this summer's been very difficult. You know, I'm on the phone with our clients all the time, and we have some big clients that take large booth spaces at our shows. And everybody's down a little bit, and they're kind of whining a little bit. I just had a call with this guy the other day, and he's like, oh my God, it's been really difficult. And I'm like, yeah, I've been in this business for 30 years. It happens every once in a while. Put your big boy pants on and get out there and keep calling your artists. And, you know, I mean, that it happens, you know, so don't get depressed about that. But, you know, sales, it really hard to sell over a computer or over the phone. You got to get people in front of your work so you can talk about, you know, your story and get them to touch the work, and then, you know, finally ask them for the money. That was one of the things I tried to teach everybody in the collective is, you know, you got to ask for the money. And the easiest way to do that is, what credit card do you want to put it on? And so and then I gave them all an assignment one day, I remember now. And I said, you've got to ask somebody for the money today. And everybody got really nervous at that point. But you know, some people did it and they got it. So, you know, that works. But yeah.
One of the things,
I think that one of the things that is true is you've got a list. Those of you who just did Art Santa Fe, you've got a list of people that did see your work, that gave you their names because they were interested in your work and interested in hearing from you, following up with you. So that's a little bit different. That's kind of from the other side of the coin. But figuring out how you're going to get in front of people, even if it's an open studio, and if there is a open studio weekend that's in your city, in your area, certainly something. And another way, even if there's only a handful of people that come in the door, it's a handful of people that you hadn't met before. Vivian, you had something you were gonna share. You're on mute.
Am I on mute? Okay, can you
There
hear
you
me?
go. Yeah, we can.
So I just started pulling out all the stops and going to these openings at smaller galleries and at a design showcase house. I'm not sure the term for that. And just hung out with the owners for about an hour and looked at what kind of work, because they have their furniture and their items that they're selling, but they're also showing art. And I just said, I want to invite you over to my place to see my work. And I showed him my website, and I followed up with them, and they are planning on coming over to my place, and in a couple of weeks. So I'll continue to follow up with them. So I have been doing that. I've just been saying, I want to invite you over. I want you to see my work. And because it's like you've been saying, it makes a difference to really go over the pieces piece by piece and why you did it, and just give more context about the pieces.
Absolutely.
So I'm hoping that will work. I haven't sold anything. Well, actually, I sold something, but I didn't sell anything at the fair, so I was disappointed about that. And somebody did get in touch with me afterwards, who has a couple of Airbnbs in upstate New York, and was really interested in a few pieces, but then poof. So I have to learn to sell my work.
Well, your work's intriguing, but it is different.
Yeah.
So, it's probably a long sales process. It's probably it's not like somebody's going to walk in and see a seascape on the wall and say, "Oh, that's pretty."
Right.
Take it. Yeah, your work is pretty intriguing, and you'll find. I told you about the other art, or the
Outsider art.
Yeah, in New York. And
I looked into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I looked into one outsider art fair, and they had a stipulation that I don't know, I couldn't meet for some reason.
Yeah, you have to be a gallery. Yeah.
Okay, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be a gallery. Yeah. So then you have to find one of those galleries that likes your work. That's what I would try to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's
one of the things that I was doing to try to continue to draw on the experience at Art Santa Fe. Those folks who purchased works, I was able to sell to 3 locations: New York City, Los Angeles, and Colorado. And I thought, how could I further continue to develop those potential patrons? So I got these hats made with a piece that showed at Art Santa Fe. And I sent a hat to those folks saying, thank you for your purchase. So what I'm planning to do is, in the near future, I'm thinking I would send out notice to those folks saying, having purchased a work, if you're interested in looking at new stuff, I would be happy as someone who's purchased my work in the past to, if you're interested in anything in the future, give you a discounted price. I don't know if that's a good idea, but one of the things that I learned from the collective is ask them for the sale. And the last sale I made to Los Angeles, I said, well, where would you see this hanging in your house? And the gentleman made the comment and I said, wow, it sounds like it's yours. And boom, he said, let's do it.
Wow.
And so then shortly after the event took place, my co-exhibitor, Michael Gorman, sent out a notice to everybody thanking them for participating. So, and then on September 7th, I will be doing a Zoom presentation on cut paper at the Millicent Rogers Museum in Taos. And so I will be sending out that notice to everybody that gave us their emails. So that's sort of what I'm continuing to do to draw on the experience at Art Santa Fe.
Very good.
That's
You're doing the
great.
right things. You know, events work, right? So even if you're doing an event, a small event somewhere, you know, invite everybody that you've been in contact with, you know, everybody on your mailing list. You know, we do. I mean, if we're doing our show in Miami, we're inviting people from our New York events, and people like that. They want to know what you're doing, and events work. Events are key. Yep.
Sophie, how about you? How's it been going and what have you been doing? You're on mute. You're on mute. No. Can't hear you. There you are. How about now? Still can't hear you. No, it's like you're off mute, but somehow your microphone isn't working.
Well, does anybody have any questions? No. Okay. Let me tell you what I've found in my experiences. August has really always been the slowest month in the art business. But you know, the kids start going back to school and people start getting active again. And some people have moved throughout the summer and they have empty walls and new homes and things like that. So when the fall breaks, you know, things start picking up a little bit. So this is the time to start thinking about that and start constructing emails that maybe talk about that. You know, now the kids are back at school, I've got some specials going on, you know, that type of thing. And discounting your work to people that have purchased from you before, there's nothing wrong with that. You could say, you know, if you buy another piece, I'm throwing in the framing, it's a value of $300 or $400, something like that, or offer free shipping. Those are always good things to do. But I think your goal right now is, and I think those of you that did Art Santa Fe have learned this, you got to get in front of people. And the way to do that is through art fairs, whether it's our fair or another fair or a street fair or doing a gallery show or whatever. Your art's got to be present somewhere and you've got to draw some people in. And that's the way to sell artwork. And that's the way to establish clientele. And that's the way to grow your business. You know, I kind of relate it to American Idol, or what's the other one? The Voice. You know, you've got all these great singers, and you guys probably all watch these shows. And, you know, once they get to the main group and they've got, you know, 40 people left or whatever, they're all good singers. They're really good, but only one person wins. And then you only hear about one person in the future. Well, as an artist, you know, you're your own, your best proponent. I mean, you've got to keep getting out there and keep singing and showing your work. And the only way to do that is to get your work out on a wall somewhere or in a show. And that would be my advice to you, and your homework is to plan an event. And even if that event isn't until, I don't know, Thanksgiving time, And maybe that event is in your own home where you set up some pieces and you do a video and you talk about the pieces and you send it out, or you do a live Zoom meeting or whatever it may be, or you get some restaurant down the street to put in 8 pieces and you host a dinner for your friends and maybe you sell a couple pieces at the restaurant, whatever it may be, do an event. And if you need help with suggestions, go ahead and email us or sign up for one of our shows or a street fair. But I would highly advise you to do that. And as we talked about in the collective, you've got to think about your marketing dollars and how you're going to market yourself. And, you know, if you have $500 a month, $6,000 a year, how are you going to spend that money? Is it going to be on Instagram? Is it going to be, you know, taking a booth in Art San Diego for $2,000 and paying $1,000 for travel? I mean, what is it going to be? But start thinking about how to plan that out and how much money you have to market yourself. And then you got to think about how much your paintings sell for, and you've got to make that money up. So it's not an easy thing to do, but, you know, we're here to help. And that would be my advice for, you know, on this call. Linda, what else do we have?
I was just remembering an artist that I worked with, I guess it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. One of the, and I follow her on Instagram, and she's still doing this. And she found in her community that there were a couple of local museums and galleries that frequently did open calls for artists. And what the artists got out of that, if they were juried in, was just to be part of a show. And that might be something, another way to get your art out there. And maybe it's not in a gallery that's right down the street. Maybe it's the next town or 100 miles away. But if you got into an event like that, it would be worth your travel time. It would be worth the experience. So just another idea. I think that, you know, so that's your homework, but certainly as you embark, as Eric mentioned before, just remember that part of being a member of the Artist Club is that we're all here and available for you. So if you need some coaching, if you've got some burning questions, if you've got an opportunity, but you're not exactly sure how to address it, reach out to us, reach out to me or Eric or Hannah or Kelly. We're all here to help. Yes, Vivian?
So the studio tour is coming up the last 2 weeks in September. And there is a local jeweler in town. He's a very successful high-end jeweler. He and his wife have come by the last 2 years in a row, and he's always connected and expressed a lot of interest. I have this metal candelabra that I did 20 years ago, but he loves it. And then there's a big mosaic that his wife really likes. And they always, really kind of talk amongst themselves about it. So I took some photographs and had them printed of these 2 pieces, and I want to send it to him in his store, because I don't know his home address. I want to let him know that I've reduced the price without saying that. What's a good way to let potential buyer know that you're bringing the price down? You want him to come out and look at it again, and want to work with him on it.
It's not well, the next time you get in front of him, and I'll give you, for instance, if you were, what's behind me? That big glass thing or whatever it is. If I was talking to you and Vivian and I said, I know you like the piece, don't you? And I'm nodding my head, right? And see, you're nodding your head already.
I'm a bobblehead.
That's hysterical. Yeah, I did. I know you like the piece, right? You go, yeah. And then I say to you, You haven't bought it yet. And then I say, is it the money? Is it the price? And I ask you in a friendly way, is it the price? It's $2,000. Would $1,800 do it for you? And then you say yes. And
Okay,
that's how you do that.
that's good.
Yeah, but you first get them to agree that they like the piece
Mhm.
and they're interested in it, and then you just say, is it the price? And if they admit it's the price, now you know what it is. You know they
Mhm.
want it, and you know it's not the right price. So then you can figure out the price. You have to overcome their objection.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
So, are you all going to do your homework?
I feel like one of those bobbing dogs or something
Yeah.
with our window, right?
All right, everybody. We'll meet in September.
All right, thank you.
Have a good August.
Yeah.
Thank
Talk
you,
to you
you
soon.
too. Enjoy
Bye-bye.
Maui.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Bye-bye.